Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast number 137. Doesn't it feel like you're going to heaven? And I am your host and podcast commander, Joseph Martin, joined by...
Anna Bryniarski. I am sick.
And Alex Jedraszczak, your editor-in-chief for GameCola.net.
Now, Anna.
Hi.
Would you say that you're sick because you had an absolutely sick time at Disney World and playing video games at Disney World?
I played one whole game at Disney World. It was
To be fair,
Pokémon GO.
The fact that you are currently sick is probably not unrelated to the fact that you were at Disney World.
It
is it measles?
Probably related. No, it is not measles. Hopefully. Oh, God. There were a lot of kids, and I don't know. I don't know what their parents' status is on vaccinations.
Yeah.
No, but, yeah, I played a lot of Pokemon Go while I was at Disney World this past week.
So what is that like? Because I don't know. I could have on it. Like, if you had told me that there were no Pokemon Go related things in Disney World at all, I would have believed you because I trust you. You're my friend.
I'm very trustworthy.
But also, it would have been surprised.
I'm very trustworthy. But no, yeah, there was a lot of Pokestops and a good amount of gyms, and there were a lot of Team Mystic gyms. I think it was mostly Team Mystic, but there were a few Instinct and Valor gyms, and like the reigning team would change like every few hours maybe, because there are so many people coming in and out. There was one at Hollywood Studios, I think, while we were waiting in a line. I wanted to take over a gym, and it would have been so easy, and I've never done it before. So I was so excited, but we were just out of range of the gym. And I was just like, no. And we come back.
That's how they get you. You have to pay for the season pass in order to play.
Come back like 2 minutes later, and it's like it is now a Valor gym, and I'm like, damn it. But
so, what were some interesting landmarks that ended up being gyms? I'm curious.
Pirates of the Caribbean was one. Spaceship Earth was one in Epcot. One of the animatronics in Epcot was actually a gym. Like one of the animatronics in Spaceship Earth, and I was very interested in that, because that was weird.
You have to wonder, like, how much influence Disney could have had over placement, right?
Yeah.
Because they have infinite money. They own half of media properties, and I would say, like, a solid 20% of the media they don't own is Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could like say, hey, here's the amount of dollars that is inconceivable to Joseph Martin. Put the Pokestops and gyms here, 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 and here. Here's an entire map. This is where we want all of them. Exactly. Like the fact that you were like just out of range at that one place could have very easily been planned by Disney, because everything there is manufactured.
So anyway, I had a really nice time at Disney World. As a 24-year-old woman, and not a 10-year-old child. I wish I could remember more, like, interesting gyms, but most of them were pretty standard landmarks. The only out-of-place one was the animatronic. But Rapunzel's Castle was one, or Rapunzel's Tower was in Magic Kingdom. I don't remember very many from Hollywood Studios because, I don't know. But the one I was waiting in line for, that was taken over 2 seconds later, that was definitely in line for Star Tours. And like, we moved an inch and it was gone. I was like, damn it. Well, as we were waiting for the fireworks to begin, for one of the nights we were in Magic Kingdom, found out the statue of Walt Disney and Mickey was an Instinct gym, and that was pretty great. Like, we're just standing there, and it's behind us, and I point it out to my sister, and she's like, oh, that's cool. She did download it again, as I did, for that trip, because we didn't know what else to do in line. Except complain about small children crying.
How dare children have
Dare
emotions
children.
at this theme park? How dare they?
How dare they? No, we actually got lucky. There weren't too many, like, screaming children. But, we had 2 Pokestops right, like, if we were sitting in our room, there were 2, like, right there. We stayed at, like, the Pop Century Hotel, which had a bunch of, like, 50s through 90s stuff. And there's a giant statue of Roger Rabbit, which is actually terrifying. We walked past it, and it was awful. And that was one gym, I think, or it might have been a Pokestop, I can't remember. There's a Pokestop by... We were in the 90s room, which is very fitting, because both me and my sister are 90s kids, #TM. And there was a giant laptop in the center of the 90s building, and we were just out of range for that. But there were like 2 more that were just within reach. And then we got back to the Orlando airport, and there was, like, nothing around. There was no reason for us to be there for Pokemon, other than to get home. But, you know. But, yeah.
Jeddy, do you have any fun video game-related memories for Disney World?
Not video game related. Oh, wait. Or is this trying to be your lead into Disney Quest?
This is a good segue.
I try my best. I do my best here on the podcast. I thought it would be pretty obvious. I thought it was a nice, underhanded pitch. Just a nice slow ball, but apparently... No, yes, Jeddy, please tell us about Disney Quest like you were talking about before we started the podcast, because I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about on this podcast, GameCola, the podcast.
In general, I'm not a big fan of Disney, to be honest.
You lived, like, right next to it. And by that, I mean you lived in Florida, which, in my mind, all of Florida is right next to Disney World.
Yeah, no, I was, like, an hour away or so. But no, Disney Quest, I did quite a number of posts about it closing when it closed, like, a couple years ago.
For those who are uninformed, what is Disney Quest, since it closed and maybe not everyone's had a chance to experience it?
Yes, sadly. So Disney Quest was supposed to be like a huge arcade, but like, I don't know if arcade is quite the right term for it, because like there was a traditional arcade section with like actual, coin-operated games, but the rest of it, I guess it was like a giant Chuck E. Cheese, maybe, a Dave and Buster's
with the mouse and everything.
Yeah, like it was an indoor amusement park. There was like an arcade section where you actually played the games, but then there was also like bumper cars and like larger games. Like I'm trying to figure out how to describe some of these stupid things that were in there. It was like some kind of hockey game where you're on like a weird pogo stick thing that you rock around to try to hit the hockey pucks. It was like Mighty Ducks themed, I think. I don't know. They had a bunch of it's hilarious because I'm sure in 2001 or whenever this place opened, these were like, whoa, awesome, wow, how futuristic, these virtual reality rides. And I actually went in one of the final months of it even being open, and not only were they no longer very impressive, but they were quite broken for the most part.
When you say virtual reality rides, like just you sit in a car and there's a TV screen in front of you and it's like, whoa.
Okay, so there was like a Bill Nye themed build your own roller coaster, which was, it's a virtual roller coaster. It does like spin around and like shake you and flip you upside down as you watch a video. I did enjoy that at the end of it, it just turns to a blue screen and says like, S-video disconnected or something. I don't think it did that when it opened. I think that was a recent development. Because I'd been there a few times over the years.
You exit the Matrix.
And then, there was one that was still reasonably impressive, is like an Aladdin's Magic Carpet ride. You actually put on like the VR headset and stuff. You were supposed to like talk to the other people, but usually like there's other people on other magic carpets wearing other headsets. And I think you're supposed to talk to them, but
why?
Well, and also most of the people who were there by the time that I actually like, when I went early on, there was a huge line and I never went. And when I went later on, yeah, the only people doing the ride were people who had done it a million times and who were, like, racing ahead and not talking to anyone. I don't know. There's, like, a jungle raft ride where you're actually, like, in a physical raft with physical oars that you, like, paddle to kind of, like, guide your way through the virtual jungle river thing that's on the screen ahead of you.
But it's just like a TV screen.
Yeah, just a big projection screen that you're watching. I mean, it like sprays you with mist and stuff. There was like a pirate ship thing where you're like pulling on little strings on cannons to shoot other pirate ships, which is like a really big screen that wraps all the way around you. But it had like maybe, PS2 era graphics.
It's a wonder this place ever shut down.
They did have kind of a comeback with Wreck-It Ralph, is that they did have the Wreck-It Ralph game that you could play.
But it was just the game, like the arcade game.
Yeah, they had
that you can play for free on the internet.
Well, you can also play it for free here if you pay, $60 to enter.
There's no reason to go to Disney Springs. Don't
yeah.
go.
Oh no. Oh man. No, I had so many friends who were like, "Oh man, let's go hang out at Disney Springs," and I'm like, "Let me drive an hour to go there."
Driving an hour to go to an expensive outdoor mall.
Yeah. I was never a fan myself. I guess technically it's the free part of Disney.
Yeah, but
So the point is, Disney Quest closed. I'm trying to think if it was like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and they were going to open the NBA Experience.
Does Disney own the NBA now? I wouldn't be surprised, just disappointed.
I just appreciate that who is in control of this location, this like physical place where, like, is it cursed or something? Or is it just like the person who owns it has all of the bad ideas? Because apparently it is not doing very well at all.
I can't imagine why. Like, welcome to Basketball Land. It would probably be cooler if you called it Basketball Land instead of
and it's
NBA whatever.
Yeah, the NBA Experience, and it's like $40 to go in.
Ew.
And it's like, but what are you gonna do?
You can just go to a basketball court. That's the NBA Experience.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know.
What could you possibly put there? It's like, it's basketball.
It's just,
but like,
it's just basketball.
really basketball.
There's
like,
just so much basketball.
Yeah. It's like you're really there.
At basketball.
I've always wanted to play basketball, and now Disney World is letting me for the first time. It's always been so unattainable.
I really don't know. Like, I guess it's funny is I remember hearing about it coming, and I remember hearing about it opening, and I've been hearing about it not doing well, and I've never bothered to look up what's inside.
What's it called again? The NBA Experience?
Yes, the NBA Experience. That's my understanding.
I think I saw it and it was a giant dome, but I have no idea.
Oh, is it a dome? It used to be a big cube.
I have no idea. I could be wrong. I was barely paying attention. I saw Starbucks and that's it. All right.
So most of these pictures are just the outside. What looks just like the outside of a stadium.
Okay.
Like just like a normal stadium. Like it's fancy enough, but like it's like a basketball stadium. The only inside picture that I can see is people on a basketball court, and there's a projection screen on the wall with a bunch of people in the stands, and it's not even a lot of people in the stands. I don't know if this is a real picture or if this is some promotional image. Hold on, I'll put it in the...
Yeah.
Need to see the basketball.
It's
what?
like
Just go to your local Y.
If you're gonna put a bunch of people on a screen, like, to make it seem like it's like a really big deal basketball court, why wouldn't you put like way more people?
Nice shot.
This is like the
You're
same
Disney.
amount as like a high school game. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. It's just these basketball courts are tiny.
Jeez.
Even like this inside area is tiny. This place, like, it looks so big from the outside.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a little, okay, here, this looks like it. This is like it's like, imagine, you know, those arcades where, like, you can throw a basketball and you see how many times you can throw the basketball?
Yes.
It's basically that, but like a big area of them. Oh, yeah, looking at this, like, the lot that it would actually fit on, it is actually tiny.
Well, it is like a multi-story thing. There was like 4 or 5 floors of Disney Quest. Oh.
Right, but it's also still just like a tiny plot of land. But like all of the pictures
experience.
once it got built is like are very clearly cropped to make it seem way bigger than it actually is. Like it makes it seem like it extends further than it does. Anyway, I can see why this is not popular. I have a video games and Disney related story.
Yeah, really?
Because I went to Disney when I was 10, and I know this because I remember the video game that I was playing while at Disney, and it was Pokémon Ranger, which came out in 2006. And if I've done my math correctly, 2006 minus 1996 is in fact 10.
Yes. That's how math works. You did it.
Wow.
And I remember because I wouldn't play it, like I wasn't like playing it like while we were out and about, even though I probably could have on my handheld Nintendo DS. But I remember that I got to the part of the game where they gave you the Manaphy egg at the end as like an event. I don't remember how big it was a big deal to me. It was a big deal to Child Joseph. I don't know if it was a big deal to literally anyone else. But like you a Manaphy egg washed up on shore in the post game, and then you had to wait in real time for the egg to hatch.
Oh.
I think it was like a couple weeks, or maybe a week. You know, time scales differently when you're 10 years old.
True.
So I just remember at the end of each day at Disney going out and pulling up my DS and seeing how the Manaphy egg was doing. So that's my Disney story. The only other memory I have of Disney is once we went for like a school thing. We got like a school discount. We rode Space Mountain with the lights on, which was terrifying.
Yeah, no, that sounds
horrifying.
Yeah.
You don't realize how compact Space Mountain is until the lights are on.
Yep.
I had a friend who was like really tall, and he was just like, because it just seemed like he was going to hit his head on all of the things, because it's just like this pretzel of tracks, and they're so compact. The only other thing I remember is that I got sick, and I slept on the bus for like 2 hours. I felt better after I slept on the bus for 2 hours.
That's gonna be you, Anna.
Yeah, you just need to find a bus.
You just need to find a bus, yeah.
That's your problem.
No, I didn't start getting sick until like 2 days after I left. So like there are no buses for me to be sick on. Another story. I took my 3DS with me one day just to see if I would get any street passes. Got back to our hotel room, 0 street passes.
What? What?
Yeah.
The 3DS is dead.
The 3DS is dead. Can't believe it's dead now.
Now, what would have been interesting is if Nintendo Switch had anything like that, so that you could see how many of those kids are carrying around Nintendo Switches with them.
Yeah.
Or Nintendo Switch Lite, that's come out.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's bought it. It seems like, I don't know, like on the one hand, more portable, better battery life, I get it. Other hand, you can't put it into the TV, which seems like the main thing about the Nintendo Switch.
It seems kind of like a thing you would buy if you already own a Switch. And most of the people who I have seen, like on Twitter and whatever, buying them, already own the Switch.
Well, okay, I get the second part of your statement because I believe that is a true thing that you have observed in your life experience. But you said a part where this is what makes sense to you.
Well,
And it doesn't to me.
No, and I mean, like, I personally wouldn't pay, $200 or whatever for an additional Switch. But, again, like you said, you can't plug it into the TV, so, like, who is it targeted at? And I have a feeling it's more for, like, Timmy doesn't want to let his little brother play Switch, so his little brother gets a Switch Lite, Like, parents are going to be forced to hand over another $200. They're not.
Alternatively, all these millennials killing the TV industry, not owning televisions to plug in their video games to.
Yep.
Anyway.
Man, I wish that joke landed better, huh? I thought it was good. I thought it was the right crowd.
I think the thing is that millennials don't have cable, but I do believe that most have TVs, because otherwise what they'd be watching Netflix on?
They're computers. You can do that. That's how I watch Netflix when I watch it. I don't actually have Netflix. I just steal it from friends every once in a while. If I had Netflix, I would die because I would just watch everything all the time and there would never be a podcast. I
have
no impulse control.
I was given a TV and I found that it has a USB port on the back, which
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, like at first I was confused, but then I realized that I could plug in, like I could just dump videos onto a USB drive and plug it into the TV and then watch videos that I downloaded on the TV.
What? Wait.
Yep.
So there's like some sort of like media player, so you have to go through the files, I guess, right?
Yeah. There is like a weird, awkward, you're on the remote trying to like navigate folders and stuff. And
you can just play MP4s on your TV?
Some files don't like to play. It's funny because actually I accidentally swapped which USB drive I was using, because my car also has a USB plug that you can put music on. And so that's cool.
We live in the future, huh?
Now, get this.
Here we are in the future.
There was a video that I put on there that would not play on the TV, but when I plugged it in...
Jeddy, no. Don't do this to me, Jeddy.
When I plugged it into my car, it didn't play the video, but I could hear it.
I would hope not.
It didn't play the video, but I could hear... Yeah. I was very confused for a moment. But yes.
What has technology wrought?
It's true.
We're living in the future.
We are.
Now you need to see if you can load up some NES ROMs and plug them into your TV.
Yes.
And see if they'll just work. Every TV comes in with an NES emulator now.
So I did actually also get tired of plugging my my USB DVD drive into my laptop to then plug it into the TV. And I decided to try and see if I could plug my DVD player directly into my TV. But sadly, it doesn't work that way.
What?
Wait, you can't plug your DVD player into the television?
My USB DVD player.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Like if I had an actual, real DVD player, which I don't.
Is that different than like just using a disk drive on your computer?
Well, I have a laptop, so like I don't have a disk drive like in.
Oh, okay.
Like I have a DVD drive that is USB.
Right, I see. I see. Yeah. My computer also has a disk. Is there even anything in it? I'm gonna see real quick. Actually, no, I don't want to press any buttons while I'm recording a podcast. It's probably The Lion King 1.5. It's almost certainly The Lion King 1.5 if it's in there.
I'm glad you're that certain of this.
It's the only DVD I own.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
And you have a whole DVD player for it.
It's not like a point of intention. It's the only DVD I own, and I never need to put anything else in it. I don't watch it that often. But what else am I going to use it for? Everything's on a USB these days.
Yep.
Anyway.
Wow.
Video games.
Yeah. So, I mentioned this in the GameCola chat. It's actually been a bit since it happened that I beat Ys 8.
Ah, Ys.
Yeet.
Yes.
Yeez, it's Yeez. It's the one that's spelled Y-S. Anyway, yes, Jeddy. Yeast Jeddy. You finished Yeast? Yes, you finished Yeast?
I finished Yeez.
How much longer can we take this joke, guys?
Wise. Sorry. So I found myself saying that basically. Because in the last time that I talked about Ease, I was like, wow, what a great game. It's really close to my perfect game. You got all this exploration and stuff. I didn't know about, I was uncertain about the weird island setting. I was wondering if that was just one part of it or something. So hours 0 through 20 were fun.
Okay. That's a good amount of hours.
Hours 20 through 60, I was just done with the game the entire time, the entire remaining number of hours.
Well, why did you keep playing the game after you finished it?
I had already put in that amount of effort, and I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't know. And also, at the beginning...
I feel like you didn't get the joke that I made, Jeddy.
What?
You said you were done with the game for the last 40 hours, and I said, why did you keep playing after you finished it?
But
There we go. You get it now.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that everybody got the joke that I was trying to tell.
Yes, thank you.
That's the most important thing.
Yes.
About the entire GameCola podcast. You can continue now with your talking about video games or whatever.
As I know pretty well, the best jokes are the ones that you have to explain.
I didn't have to explain. I chose to because you weren't listening to me.
I wasn't. I was too busy complaining about Ease.
You're too busy talking about video games on the podcast.
So
about video
Come on, Jeddy,
games.
get your priorities. Okay, video games. Tell me about the video games, Jeddy.
The thing is that in the early parts of the game, every time that you go to a camp, you have a dream of some other world, but it's just a little animitic. It's not even fully animated. It's just a little pencil sketch of this girl, and she's magical somehow, something blah blah blah. She's at some kind of magical place. I honestly couldn't have cared too much less about this whole dream thing. And then it became the entire game.
It all turned into sketchy drawings.
No, you start actually playing these dream segments, and you come to find out that it's in the past, millions of years ago, 60 million years ago.
Before they invented pens.
And
it was only pencils.
It's this whole stupid thing about the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs are people, and that then they find out that the asteroid is coming, but it's inevitable, and then it turns into this big thing about how God created evolution, and evolution is operated by some kind of creature is created, and they're given a few million years to give it a shot, and then they're killed off.
Give it your best shot.
And then they're killed off at the end of it, well, you didn't do good enough.
What? All right.
And that's what...
You only got A rank. You should have gotten S+ rank.
Yeah, basically, right? And
this is what happened to the dinosaurs.
This is what happened to the dinosaurs, but, okay, and it bothers me so much because Adol, right? He's the star...
Who?
Adol. He's the main character.
Adol?
Adol. Yeah, A-D-O-L.
Adderall?
No, So, hello, hi. Sorry, I'm gonna go talk about things now that I got the screenshots prepared. So you can see what Adol...
Jay's got his PowerPoint presentation already.
Yes. If you look at the chart on the left, so you see what he looks like, what I remember him looking like, the red-haired guy on the Super Nintendo, and then you see...
He looks like he's really cool about his sword.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Super Nintendo one, the first...
Oh,
sorry.
I see.
But
you mean those weren't Super Nintendo games?
But then, yes, you do also see what he looks like in the current game.
I mean, it's not that far off. His hair's a little shorter, and he doesn't have his big shoulder pads.
Hold on, they do have there's a DLC where you get his original armor, and, oh man, it looks really bad in 3D. It made more sense in 2D. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
And the 90s, when you could just have whatever size shoulder pads you wanted and everybody just ran with it.
There you go. You can see what he looks like. He looks so silly.
It looks like he's wearing pants that are too small.
He looks like a cosplayer.
He does.
Like he looks like he's cosplaying himself.
Like it doesn't fit. Like the shirt just like kind of doesn't fit.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all wrinkly because it's all scrunched up.
Yeah. It's so weird to look at. Like, I guess that is technically what it looks like, but it's so weird to see it. Okay, so my point was, he's the main character of this game series, right?
Right.
And he's just supposed to be like a traveling dude. He goes around and has all these adventures. He's an adventurer. But in this game, he's like some supreme master being guy who everyone loves. Like, everyone is constantly in awe of him. He, so, Adol, number one, he kills evolution.
What?
He murders evolution?
Yeah,
Okay.
like, so, you also do this in the past, is that you're supposed to kill evolution, as like the dinosaur girl. Like, they don't look like dinosaurs. They look like humans, but they're supposed to be evolved from dinosaurs, I guess. Oh, sorry, primordials.
Jeddy, my brain is about to explode.
Like,
live on the podcast.
it's the stupidest thing. And like, there's some whole thing about like, she only half does it, and then she goes to sleep in a tree, and then...
She only half does what? Evolution?
Yeah, she only half kills evolution or something. Like, she... blah, 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 something. It didn't really...
I thought he killed evolution.
Well, okay, but this is in the past. There's the girl from the
but
past.
I thought you went to the past.
You dream about
through your dreams.
The dreams are just like you get to see what happened.
But I thought you said you got to play the dreams.
Oh yeah, you as the player do, but like it's not at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's just like I don't know, it's stupid.
Oh,
I don't care, and I don't like it. And I didn't...
Okay, so there's a dinosaurs turn into people because of evolution, and then a girl who is also from a dinosaur half kills evolution
and then sleeps
and takes a nap
in a tree until now, when you then go and you pick her up and she becomes a party member.
In the future.
Currently. Now.
Millions of years later.
Yes, now.
It's a heck of a nap.
Now. In the future.
I mean, I have had naps like that, to be fair.
And so then... so like, you also have to go and kill like all of the previous evolutions, and you meet all of the people who killed evolution in the past from each of the different races.
This doesn't seem like it's such a big deal if everybody manages to do it every
for
single
some reason,
time.
I don't remember because I wasn't paying attention. I legitimately got to a point where I just hit the fast forward button through all of the cutscenes.
Oh my god.
It was so long and boring. So yeah, there's like all these other like creatures that are like, oh, one's like a snake guy and one's like a plant lady, and there's like a big minotaur dude. And they're like, oh, we're the guardians of evolution or something. And like Dana, the girl from the past, is supposed to be one of them too, but for some reason she's with you. And then it's revealed that like, oh, she was supposed to be the one to break the cycle of like evolution destroying everything and a new species starting.
It seems like whoever made this game doesn't know how evolution works. I'm just going to throw that out there. Seems like they don't really understand how it works.
Yeah. So then you go and you defeat all of the evolutions, and then there's one like...
This is sounding more and more like Pokemon.
There's like a big... And this is what kills me, is like there's an end boss, and then there's another end boss, and then there's like yet another final end, super end at the actual end boss. And they did a thing that always kills me, is that like the way the end boss works doesn't follow any of the patterns of the other bosses. It's like a weird puzzle fight where instead of having like, it's an action battle system, so you're like running around, slashing and doing skills and stuff. And then this like end boss that the first end boss, it's like a weird static object that like you're on this platform that's rising up and you have to like defeat each level of it, and it's stupid. because like it's none of the things that you've practiced for, and it makes it
Yeah, it's not like a cumulative test of all your skills. It's just like a weird new thing.
yeah, and it's like, oh well, first you attack the tentacles, and then the tentacles go away, and then you attack the core, and then it rises up the level again, and then new things attack, and you have to destroy the crystals, and then fight the core again, whatever. Like, it's not difficult. It wasn't fun. It wasn't interesting. So yeah, you defeat evolution. You defeat all the evolutions, and then finally, and this is what kills me. I hate it so much. The Earth goddess Maya shows up with her weird big wood
to prevent copyright infringement on Gaia. This isn't Gaia, it's my own original character. Maya.
She has weird big wood boobs. Like,
oh
yes,
God.
Tracks.
It's the stupidest character design. And you have to, I'm trying to remember if you actually fight her, but like basically first you kill evolution and then you kill God.
Okay.
So that's where this game is going. And I guess it just bugs me like that Adol is now this weird, perfect God being.
Does he get to become God and evolution?
He absorbs their powers. Like, I wasn't really paying attention. Something happened. It was also like almost a month ago at this point. I just stopped caring. It was just too weird. Like, every woman loves him. He's perfect. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm trying to remember at which point. Oh, that's right. It was before Maya shows up. But after you killed evolution first, and then you went back and defeated all the other things and fought the weird boss thing. Then they literally pull, it was all a dream.
No.
Wait, the whole video game?
So you were on the island, right?
Yep.
And then you went into the past and you played as the other girl, and then there was all this other stuff that happened where you meet the other girl and you kill evolution and so on. And then you wake up, Adol wakes up in his hammock, and they're like, hey, Adol, it's time to go. We made the boat. And he's like, oh, well, where's Dana? And they're like, who? Come on, Adol. We need to go home. We've been on this island long enough.
What?
Yeah, they just try to pretend that like, oh, it was all a dream. Adol just had a weird dream. But then they immediately turn around from that. It was completely pointless to pull that at all, because then everyone's like, I'm going to randomly walk to this tree. I just felt like going for a walk. And then Maya is there and Dana is there. And it's like, oh, so...
What?
Yeah, and then...
So was it a dream or not?
No, it wasn't a dream, but it was like, oh, because you killed evolution, like...
No one can know.
Yeah, basically. It was some stupid... Didn't make any sense, and I didn't care.
Hey, Jeddy.
Hello?
Do you play video games that you end up liking ever?
So, actually... I have really enjoyed Dragon Quest XI.
Yay!
Okay, good, because it didn't seem like you were enjoying it when we first saw it.
When we played it before?
Yeah.
So it is actually a lot better in 3D.
Okay. I thought it was just going to end up being a lot slower in 3D.
It is a lot longer to play in 3D, but it's also more fun and more interesting. It is interesting to compare it, like certain aspects to Ys 8, because I was all about like, oh yeah, the exploration, they did it really well in Ys 8. Meanwhile, there are exploration aspects to Dragon Quest XI, but it's a much more linear plot, like it's a straightforward, there's an actual story, whereas Ys was like, oh, we need to find people and we need to explore the island, so there wasn't like a straight line, you know? It's like the purpose is exploring the island. Meanwhile, with Dragon Quest, it's like, well, we need to go from here to here, but there's all this land in between. And, like, they do make it so you find things as you walk around. There's treasures, there's, item spots, like, not mining or anything, but, like, you pick up ore and things off of the ground, which you can then use in the fun-sized forge, and you can make some weapons and stuff. But I have trouble with how they balance it, because you could play the game without doing any exploration, and you could just go through, and it would be a bit more difficult, but I like to explore, so I run around, and then I get like wildly overleveled, overpowered with all of my equipment that I'm forging. And it's like, okay, so I could just run through the game, or I could explore. There's no reason to explore other than to like power myself up, but if I do it to the fullest extent, then I get way overpowered. I don't know, I feel like the balance is off for the...
It's like when you play Pokemon using the new EXP share.
It is also weird that, like, I guess I am used to older games where, again, they didn't do that, but now it's like everyone's leveling up in the background, so I'm not ever required to play as them.
Well, it feels like in the first RPGs, you always had, like, the people in your party.
Yeah.
And so everybody who was important leveled up because everybody who was important was in your party.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with situations where you got more and more party members. So then at first it's like, well, it only makes sense for the people who are fighting to get experience. And then after like, a decade of that, people were kind of like,
this is boring.
This kind of sucks.
Yeah. Especially because there is a segment, it's funny, in a way it's like a reverse version of Dragon Quest IV, because Dragon Quest IV, you start off as all the side characters, and then they all meet, and then they find the hero. Meanwhile, in Dragon Quest XI, you are the hero, you find all the side characters, but then they pull a Final Fantasy VI, and the bad guy wins, everything goes bad, and all of the separated characters now have to meet up again.
Oh.
So I was slightly concerned because I was like, oh no, did I remember to like equip everybody with like reasonably good stuff? Because they don't have any of the shared items. It's just like whatever they had equipped is what they have now. And luckily...
Just like real life.
Luckily... See, yeah, I was having flashbacks to Final Fantasy IV, where like...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Like...
Where like if a character dies and they have like the best armor, that armor's just gone forever now.
Yep, you spend all that money, and then they just immediately go out and die. And take it off.
And even if it's not like they leave, like there's some where it's like, okay, like at least narratively it makes sense that they're like gone. Yeah. But I think there are some characters who just die and they're still there. And it's like you can't take this stuff from them anymore.
Yeah. Although it is also funny to think of basically any game after that where they automatically unequip them, and it's like, well, how did this go down exactly? Oh no, they got...
I mean, in the real world, that must be what happens, right? People don't just, like, leave their stuff behind. And also, like, most of the time, people are carrying stuff in bags. Like, you can just, like, take the backpack they were wearing.
Yeah.
But you said there was something good about the way that they handled the splitting. Or maybe you were just prepared?
Oh, yeah, no. Because I did do all of that, number one, because I was wildly overleveled, it was a lot easier to get through these solo sections. Number two, because I had spent so much time forging equipment, like, there were multiple times where I was like, I don't really care about equipping this guy, but I do want to have fun forging stuff. And so, like, I made a bunch of, like, equipment that didn't really matter because I never played that guy anyway, but it saved me. Because I was forced to play that guy solo.
Maybe that was their plan all along.
Yeah. Also, hold on. Where is it? I just opened this.
Jay shuffles through his PowerPoint slides.
Yes. Here. I did really enjoy... I keep flipping back and forth between English and Japanese because there's some, like, curious little differences. But I'm glad that I switched back to English to meet this guy. I feel like this voice really reminds me of a voice that Shannon did for Hacks and Slash. I'm trying to remember what character it was, but when you listen, perhaps you will see what I mean.
Yeah, I'll play a clip of this in the podcast.
Don't worry, I'm not a bad slime. I promise.
I liked the voice in Japanese, but it was kind of generic and like what you would expect, I guess, and so I enjoyed.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think I can see what you're saying with some of Shannon's hacks and
Yeah.
slash voices. I'll try to put a clip of this in the podcast.
Yeah.
Elijah.
Yeah, Elijah. They do a...
They're precious.
That sounds
I love them.
like that sounds like an updog sort of thing.
Too precious.
So you
must
liked
protect.
you liked the video game, Jeddy?
Yeah, no, I'm liking it so far.
Until you learn it was all a dream.
Oh man, I'm not excited. Like I
think my favorite part of this podcast is getting to hear all the crazy anime video game plots and trying to make sense of them in third person. Because they're all the most insane things.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I enjoy the most about Dragon Quest though is when you play Final Fantasy now and you look at the older games, there's just nothing like there's like the 7 through 15 games which kind of have like a thing going that you can kind of look at and be like, you know, Final Fantasy VIII really looks like Final Fantasy 15. But like if you look at the earlier ones, there's no connection. Meanwhile, they really have kept up with like the look and feel of the old games. Like all the classic monsters are there. The like musical cues and stuff are all the same. Even kind of the feel of battle and stuff is just a straight line from the old games to the latest incarnation. And I guess
like it's developed, but it's like there's a through line.
Yeah. Like you can see where it came from. And I guess it's funny, I never played I know 8 was popular and I never played it, and I feel like I need to go back and do it because there's so many callbacks in this one to Dragon Quest IV that I'm like, do they do this in every game? Or is this one like supposed to especially be just nothing but callbacks to number 4? I appreciated that you got to have a heal slime in your party, but it's like, do they do that in every game these days? Or, you know?
Mm-hmm. Anna, what video games have you been playing in recent times?
Tell us.
I've mentioned this many times before, I feel like, but when it gets to a certain time of the year, I get the feeling that I should be playing a certain video game. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. So, like, I want to be playing Earthbound right now.
You're playing Earthbound in your heart.
In my heart, yeah. And then also Stardew Valley, because it's that time of year where it's, like, cold and it's fall and, like, it's rainy. And that's, like...
It's like that in Stardew Valley sometimes.
It's like that in Stardew Valley. No, that's exactly what I was thinking on my way home from work today. I was like, that's Stardew Valley weather sometimes. But, like...
Whoa!
Wow.
This outside world is kind of like Stardew Valley. A little bit.
A little bit.
Is this is fall an homage to Stardew Valley?
But I just remember playing Earthbound like 3 years ago at this point, and playing it on break while I was working at McDonald's, and one of my coworkers coming in, being like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm playing a game," and me trying to explain it to her. She's like, "Yeah, I don't really play video games." I'm like, "Okay."
To be fair, if you're not super familiar with video games, Earthbound is a wild first introduction.
It truly is.
So there's this kid, and a bug gave him psychic powers. And then he has to meet 3 other kids who also have psychic powers, maybe from the same bug, or just in general. And then he saves the world through the power of licensed music.
Do you kill evolution? I know that you
wild to me.
I know that you you like defeat the evil that's within you or something in Earthbound.
Yeah.
Like physically.
Yeah, you physically beat it with a baseball bat.
Video games are weird,
I love
guys.
Earthbound. Earthbound's the best game. But yeah. That's kind of where I'm at, where I haven't really played very many video games except Pokemon GO because I've been getting ready to travel and everything. But I'm thinking when I start playing video games again while I'm sick and dying in bed, I'll probably start playing Earthbound again and maybe also Goose Game and...
Speaking of Goose Game...
Stardew Valley. What?
Speaking of Goose Game.
Goose Game?
Speaking of Goose Game.
Speaking of that Goose Game.
Honk, honk, honk. I purchased Untitled Goose Game earlier in the week.
Yay.
And it is a lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
If you didn't see like all this stuff about Untitled Goose Game, it's basically like part of it is like you think, oh, is this like Goat Simulator? Maybe in terms of like haha goofy premise sort of thing, but like it is actually fun. It's not just like a bunch of random stuff. Basically, you're a goose and you have to cross items off of your to-do list, and most of these items, not all, but most, involve making people's lives difficult / miserable.
Yep. It's a great time.
And you can honk and you can flap your wings. I was a little disappointed that flapping your wings wasn't useful in more than like one situation. Right? I kind of was hoping that they would be involved in some other puzzles. It's basically a puzzle game where like you're given the task is like a puzzle that you have to solve. Like you have to figure out how through the different people's like day cycles, like you can get this thing completed. And basically you go through the first part of the game, you have to complete most of the tasks in an area to move on, and then once you finish you get another set of tasks, and you can also like speed run. Some of the tasks are like do all of the tasks for this area and under a certain time limit or something like that. So yeah, like the main game is pretty short, but it's a lot longer if you like try to do all of the things. I think I played it for about 3 hours, maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. My Switch is in the other room and I don't feel like getting it.
I brought my Switch and my 3DS onto my desk just in case I needed them.
I did also play some Stardew Valley with Dana, just online. It's fun to play video games online with friends.
Is it? I wouldn't know.
We finished up winter and we just started spring. And it's kind of weird because we played a lot of this, I think it was like 2 summers ago was when we did last like played a whole bunch of this. So like trying to pick up our farm and figure out what we were trying to accomplish. It helped that it was winter because there's not a whole lot you need to be doing in winter.
Yeah.
But like it was just like, what are we doing? Why do we have all these things? What was our goal? What was our plan? Like we've clearly set stuff aside for ourselves for spring, but like that was 2 years ago. So we're like, is this what we wanted to do? Was this what our plan was? We have 1 million strawberries. Was our plan to plant all of these strawberries? Is that the best thing to plant for spring? I remember that we did research, but I don't remember the results of our research. So, but it's been fun. So yeah, video games.
Video games.
I'm scaring a child as a goose.
We're coming up on 2 bigger releases. One will already be out by the time this podcast goes up. Luigi's Mansion 3, which I've heard good things about. It's somewhere between the style of 1 and 2, but people who like the style of 1 seem to enjoy it, so that sounds good. Pokemon will Pokemon will be out by the next podcast.
Yeah.
Right? It won't be out when this podcast comes out, but it will be out by the next time we record, and we'll probably talk about it a lot. So this is sort of our last... I'm curious. I want a time capsule, our current impressions of the game, and then in the future... Because impressions of Pokemon Sword and Shield, I think, are going to be an interesting talking point even after the game comes out. Just for, like, future... games in that series or in general. So I was curious where everyone's sort of at. I know, Jeddy, you don't play Pokemon, but you've been subjected to a lot of its discourse.
Yeah, I guess it's funny because like I kind of don't really care about like stuff that people are talking about, but I am interested in playing the game, I guess.
What makes you interested in playing this, aside from all of the other Pokemon video games that exist in the world?
Probably in some part that I own a Switch. I own the console on which the game is being released.
You not have any other handheld consoles?
Not since...
Besides the original Game Boy?
Yeah, my most recent handheld console was the Game Boy Color.
I didn't realize you didn't even have a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I guess also, like I played Let's Go Pikachu, you know? So I guess I'm curious to play a modern Pokemon.
Yeah, I think that's not to the same extent as you, but I think that's part of it too, because the last Pokemon main series Pokemon game that I played was Sun and Moon, and that was 3 years ago. So I think at a certain point, that's probably why I've been so optimistic about it in terms of like just wanting to play it, because it's just been so long since I've done it, because I didn't play Let's Go, I didn't play Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. So it's just been a really long time, and I'm getting the itch for it.
Pokemon.
Anna, what about you?
I'm excited. I played Let's Go Pikachu last year, and I forgot how much fun Pokemon is. Because I didn't really play Sun. I didn't play Moon very much, even though I do have it. And that's really the only game that I think I'm excited for the coming month.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Animal Crossing was supposed to really round out the holiday season originally, but it got pushed back to March.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out this spring, and I think... Yeah, it was supposed to come out this spring, and then they pushed it to next spring, so I don't know if that's totally true.
Yeah, well, I think... I don't remember exactly, but I think there was a period of time where, like, people thought that, like, maybe it was this holiday season that it was getting pushed back to. When like the original sort of predicted date was getting really close and they hadn't said anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's the video game that you're going to be playing soon. This is what it looks like. So yeah, but that is coming out in this March, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this coming
Animal
March.
Crossing, which is good because I will be playing too much Pokemon to play it during the holiday season.
Very excited.
I've realized that I've actually played a lot of this year's video games, thinking about, I mean, the awards are going to be coming out for regular people who are going to do the awards way too early for the year's even over. But that's going to be happening soon. It'll be interesting to see. But I've already played, I think, 4. I've played, let's see, I played Baba Is You.
Did that come out this year? I keep thinking it came out like
No, it came out at the very beginning of this year.
Oh my god.
War Groove, I played.
Tetris 99.
Tetris 99 wasn't this year, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Man, okay, yeah, Tetris 99.
Because we were all
Untitled
wondering
Goose
that for this
Game.
year's.
And there was one big one. What am I forgetting? Oh, Mario Maker 2.
Video games.
Mm-hmm. So that's 5.
Oh my god.
So I'm going to have a lot of things to vote for, Jeddy.
Me too.
Are you excited to have 5 whole votes from me, Jeddy?
Well,
on the video game?
For once, someone will actually vote on something. Actually,
vote.
this past year, actually, we got a lot of votes, but historically, there's been a lot of categories where, like, we got 1.5 nominations, and then the people who nominated them are the only ones who voted for them. You know? Or like a category where every person nominated a different thing, and every person who nominated the thing just voted for that. So it's just like a 8-way split. But it's been better recently.
Yeah. I think we actually play video games nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right. I think it's time to wrap up the podcast. Wrap up the podcast. You like how I roll my R's? I'm very good at it.
That was
Excellent.
perfect. You did it.
Wrap up the podcast.
That was a horrifying noise.
What are you talking about? It's just...
Oh god.
Man, I'm good at podcasts.
You have to emphasize.
Making noises that people want to hear sometimes in their ears.
You okay, Hannah?
Oh no, I'm killing Anna.
I'm dying.
This podcast is so good that it's murdering Anna.
Oh no.
Well, thank you for listening to this edition of the GameCola Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to check us out on our actual internet website, GameCola.net, where we have video game reviews, yard sale articles, video games and yard sales. Those are really popular, and I like them too, and you should too. You should like those articles, and the best way to like those articles is to read them on the internet website, GameCola.net.
You can also like them on our Twitter and on our Facebook.
Mm-hmm. They get posted there if you want to stay updated with all the stuff that we're doing, like stuff that we do on YouTube. We've got, of course, episodes of the podcast go up, including this podcast. We have Hacks and Slash, and Jeddy was just showing me today the cool new thing for Secret of Mana.
Yeah.
Right,
If
Jay?
you guys remember the Secret of Mana RPG cast, this whole time, if you listen to the RPG cast and we're like, wow, look at that, and everyone's just sitting there going, wow, that's pretty cool. Would you look at that over there? And then we have to say, this is a podcast.
Oh, by the way,
yeah, so what it looks like, guys, what everyone is making all these comments about is, so now you don't have to worry about that because I've been recording videos of what everyone has been doing. Like what the players are actually seeing, you are now going to see. You're going to see the crummy rebuild of Secret of Mana.
It's not crummy. It's very well put together.
I was just doing your original boss battle with the Tropicalo where you're getting chased by the vine, and the vine is literally just like one vertical piece of the vine that I like place on top of you.
Episode 1 is interesting for me because I didn't actually get to see all of those parts.
Really?
So, yeah, because remember? Because I only got to see my part of episode 1.
Oh, right, yeah, everybody else's. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to see all the other things as well.
So look out for that soon. Probably the Monday after this podcast goes up will be the first episode of that will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, which is a good way to get caught up for when Secret of Mana also gets started back up this December.
The return.
The return,
Triumphant
season
return.
2 of Secret of Mana.
Can't wait. So excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, too bad James couldn't be here for the podcast. That would be the Secret of Mana crew.
At least some of us are excited. I'm very sure James is also excited.
He's excited. He's just on California time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check out other podcasts, you can also look at us up on iTunes. Rate us 5 stars. It means a lot to me. I pay attention to that little ratings counter, and I read all the reviews. So if you want to do that, I would personally really appreciate it. And you get all the podcasts delivered right to your phone or wherever you do podcasts.
And if you want to catch up on the Secret of Mana RPG cast before you see the video, to catch you up on the Secret of Mana RPG cast before we come back as a podcast, you can listen to the Secret of Mana RPG cast on our podcast on iTunes.
And
or
you
Apple
definitely should,
Podcasts.
because it's very, very funny.
iTunes is maybe dying.
What?
I'm not entirely sure.
iTunes
I
is
hear
not
weird
dying.
things. Okay. I think they're just changing the way the podcasting section of stuff works, and everybody's freaking out. I don't know. Your feed should still work. The RSS feed should be fine. I think they're just changing the names of everything, which is fun. Anyway, I think that's it. Oh, if you want to send a message to get on the podcast, you can message on Discord or send an email to podcast@GameCola.net. And I think that's all of the things.
Come talk to us on Discord. You can hear me complain about
friend.
ease.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Discord. You can find it in the
Twitter
episode description or on our Twitter bio.
Oh, I also post memes sometimes.
He does, and it's perfect.
The Discord is great.
Discord is a good time.
The Discord is like, remember when we had that little chat window on the GameCola website?
Oh, yeah.
On the GameCola
In
homepage?
2012.
Pokemon Masters, let's go rob a bank with a sword and shield and go home and sleep.
I find fun pictures on Facebook and then share them with everyone.
Yes.
It's a great
and there's
time.
already a bunch of the GameCola super fans, the GameCola faithful.
Yeah, they're all there.
On there. You can talk with like-minded people who like cool video game content. The same cool video game content that you do because you're listening to this podcast, and we've been doing the housekeeping for like half an hour.
Yes, let's go ahead and end this.
So thank you again for listening. Have a wonderful time of day, wherever it is, whenever it is that you're listening to this, and we'll see you next month. Goodbye.
Bye.
Actually, oh man, did I show a screenshot of this? I'm trying to remember if I showed a screenshot of what he looked like. I think it's in the chat if we like scroll up. That I showed. This is good quality content this year. While I'm talking, hold on, let me talk while I'm making this noise.
Thanks, Jeddy. I really appreciate it.
Ferret Monogatari, I'd almost forgotten. Did I not? Oh no, apparently I didn't.
You know, you can just like type a word into the search bar, right?
But would it come up if I just shared a screenshot?
Right, but people probably talked around the screenshot.